For the hands-on session, I will be using Keras with TensorFlow. So the version I am using is the Keras is 2.1.4 and TensorFlow is 1.2.1. Okay, so if anybody want to start, like, okay, so I would suggest you can download Anaconda package. So from there, like, okay, you can get Python and other necessary packages. On top of that, you can install Keras, TensorFlow, and probably you need to install OpenCV to do the CNN kind of activity. So that's what I would suggest. Okay. So other way, like, okay, so if you want to parallelly run this code, right, I would suggest you can use the Google Colab. Okay, you can just log into your from your account, Google Colab, and from there, like, okay, you can start typing this syntax so that you can parallelly run it. The first one is like, okay, I'm trying to use the conventional neural network. Like, it's not a convolution neural network, like, it's a conventional neural network. So this is being used for solving the handwritten digit recognition. Okay. Problem is, I have taken the MNIST data. So MNIST data, I think all of you are aware. So it's a handwritten numeral data. So which has got about 60,000 images. Okay. So each image is of size 28 by 28. So these are the handwritten numerals. Okay. So the numerals are written 0, 1, 2, etc. 9. So these are cropped and created, like, so this is the standard data set. You can just, like, okay, with the Keras, you can just download it. Okay. So in this, basically, these are the some of the import libraries. I'm just importing NumPy, and from the Keras data set, like, okay, so in the Keras, there are standard data sets already available. Okay, you can just if you install the Keras, right, like, okay, so some data set you can easily get it. Like, from Keras.data set, I'm importing the MNIST. Okay, from Keras.models. Okay, so this is what the model. So sequential. So when I say sequential, so it's a feed forward network. So I think all of you are familiar, right? So in the neural network, there are two different types of more than two types actually. So you have a feed forward network and feedback network. When I say, like, okay, so sequential, it is a feed forward network. Okay, the information flow will flows from input side to output side. Okay. And sequential means, like, okay, so I'm trying to use the feed forward network. So from layers, like, okay, so dense is like, okay, so I'm trying to use the fully connected, like, so fully connected layer. So dropout, so it's a regularization parameter. Like, okay, so basically we are trying to tell, like, okay, so randomly drop certain amount of neurons, okay, or certain parameters from the learning. So that's what the dropout. And some utilities I'm just importing it actually. We'll see, like, okay, so when we start using it, I will just explain that. Okay. So next, I'm trying to randomize it. So I'm just trying to initialize the random seed to some seed point. And I'm just loading the data. So from the MNIST.load data, which will load the data into training set as well as the testing set. Basically, this MNIST data, standard data set, has got two set of folders. So one is for the training data and another one is testing data. So training data is the data which we are going to use it for training the model. And once the model is trained, we are going to evaluate the performance on the test data. Okay. So basically, like, if I run up to this point, so it has got 60,000 training samples. Okay, each of size 28 by 28 image. That's what I said. So totally we have 60,000 samples, 60,000 images, and the image dimension is 28 by 28. Okay. So similarly, for testing, we have about 10,000 images. So we consider about 10,000 samples for testing this, testing the performance. So since I'm not using any convolution neural network, what I'm trying to do here is I'm converting this 28 by 28 image into a one vector actually. Like, okay, so 780 pixels. Like, okay, all these pixels are concatenate it, and we construct like, okay, so one dimension vector. So totally like, okay, so 28 by 28, it is 784 pixels actually. So 784 pixels. Okay, try to understand. So what we are trying to do, because this is only a type problem. Like, okay, so this will not solve any specific challenging problem, but these concepts can be used to solve any specific, like, okay, so any challenging problem. Like, okay, so try to understand what actually it is doing, so that like you can use it for different application or to solve your own problems. Okay, so basically like I'm just computing the number of pixels, so that's what 784. So now I am trying to reshape this data. So whatever the data 28 by 28 image, right, I'm trying to reshape it into one dimension vector. Okay, so here I am trying to extrain dot reshape extrain data into number of pixels. Number of pixels is nothing but number of rows into number of columns. This is what the number of rows and number of columns I get it here, the number of pixels. So basically this will convert your all the images into 784 dimension data. So let me explain and show you like, so what exactly it does. So initially, now after the extrain shape, so now you are having 60,000 rows and 784 columns. Okay, so earlier it was a 28 by 28 image data. So when we initially loaded, so this was the shape, right? 60,000 samples, each of 28 by 28 image. Now we convert that data into 60,000 samples with 784 rows. Okay, so sorry, 784 columns actually. So it's a one dimension vector now. Okay, and I'm just normalizing this data because image this is a grayscale image, so usually intensity values ranges from 0 to 255. I'm just trying to convert this data into 0 and 1. Okay, so by dividing it by 255, so we are just normalizing it. And so similarly, so it's a one-not encode output. Like, so basically it's a supervised learning we are trying to do, right? So we have downloaded both XData and Y-train. Y is a Y parameter. Okay, so let us look into like, so how does this Y data looks like? Okay, Y dot shape. So this is what it is, only like one-not code encoding. So it is a 60,000 samples. So how it looks like? Okay, so this is how it. So this is how the data looks like. Okay, so the first data is from class 5. So the first, second one is from 0, 4, etc. and so forth. So these are the class labels. Okay, so you have X data and corresponding Y data. Okay. So this Y data, I'm just trying to convert into categorical data. So to make it as a one-not code encoding. So basically, I'm just trying to convert it into a vector, a 10 class vector like this. Okay, so the first sample was 5, right? So I'm just trying to make 1 and remaining all are zeros, one-not code encoding. Okay, so this is only like, okay, so for the sake of computational simplicity, I'm just trying to computational convenience. Actually, we have converted into one-not code encoding. So the number of classes is 10. Okay, so that's what we're trying to do here. So number of classes here is 10. Now, since I'm using Keras, we'll try to see like, okay, how the network architecture. Like, okay, so it's very simple, very straightforward. Okay, so you need not to spend too much of time in implementing or coding anything. Like, okay, so it's very straightforward and very easy to define the network. Okay, so I'm just trying to define a baseline model. So this is where I'm trying to define the network architecture. So the model is a sequential model. So basically I'm trying to tell it is a feed forward network. So it's a feed forward network I'm using. So I'm just adding the first layer. Okay, add model dot add dense. This is the your first model layer, means it is a your first hidden layer. I'm just adding the hidden layer. We'll come to that. Like, okay, so why I'm just adding the first hidden layer, model dot add dense. Dense means like, okay, so basically like the connectivity from your input layer to this layer is fully connected. That's what the meaning here. Okay, it's a dense model. So how many number of like, okay, so the neuron should be there in this particular layer, I'm trying to define. Okay, the number of neurons in this particular hidden layer is equal to number of pixels. Okay, so what is the number of pixels? I have calculated here is a number of rows and columns, right? It is a 784. Okay, that means in my first hidden layer, I have 784 hidden neurons. Okay, input dimension. So it is like, okay, so it will try to take the input dimension. So you need not to only for the first hidden layer you need to specify this. Input dimension is again like the number of pixels. Okay, basically what it is trying to tell is, so your input layer has got 784 neurons, and hidden layer also I'm trying to define the same number of neurons. Okay, so kernel. So basically like, okay, so we need to initialize the weights, right? Initial weights. Okay, I am trying to initialize the weights. Okay, so what is the dimension now here? So I have 784 neurons in the input layer, and I have 784 neurons in the first hidden layer. So totally, and it is fully connected. All these neurons, each input neuron is connected to every neuron in the hidden layer. That means, so all 784 neurons in the input layers are connected to all 784 neurons in the hidden layer. So totally, it is 784 cross 784. So that's what your weight matrix between these two layers, input layer and the first hidden layer. Okay, this particular weight matrix need to be initialized initially. I am trying to initialize this to random numbers coming from a normal distribution. So kernel underscore initializer is a initialization technique. Like, okay, it will try to initialize the initial values of the weights to a random number coming from a normal distribution. Okay, and so within that, like, okay, so in the activation layer, like, okay, so in the hidden neurons, each hidden neurons will have activation called ReLU. I am trying to use here the activation as a ReLU. So as we discussed in the morning, right, like there could be possibly many different types of activation, like, okay, so sigmoid, tanh, etc. So here I am using ReLU as a activation function. Okay, clear? So basically what I'm trying to define here is I'm trying to define a network architecture in such a way that I'm trying to define a model is a feed forward model, feed forward network. I am adding first hidden layer. So you can observe here, like, okay, you need not to specify a specific for input layer. You need not to specify you need not to create a layer for input. Okay, so input will be automatically taken care. So where we are specifying here, input dimension is number of input pixel. So by specifying this, it will automatically take, like, okay, so the number of neurons in the input layer is 784. Okay, so with this, now I completed adding one hidden layer. So what it says this. Okay, so I have a hidden layer with 784 neurons. I want to initialize all the weight vectors, weights to from the normal distribution, and I'm going to use the activation as the ReLU. Okay, so then I add the next layer. Okay, model.add means like it will try to add the next layer. Okay, model.add. So now I am trying to add the output layer now. Okay, model.add dense. Okay, so again I am trying to say it is a fully connected. Dense means it's fully connected. So the number of classes is, because output layer I need to define how many number of neurons should be there, right? So in the output layer I am having 10 neurons, because this is output layer. The number of neurons in the output layer is equivalent to the number of classes. Okay, here I am specifying number of classes. Model.add dense number of classes is 10. Again, like, okay, so what is the dimension here? The weight matrix dimension. So I have 784 hidden neurons, and all these 784 neurons are connected to all 10 neurons in the output layer. So it is 784 cross 10. So that's what the weight matrix between these two layers. From input to first hidden layer, it is 784 cross 784. From the first hidden layer to output layer, it is 784 cross 10. I am trying to initialize it to, again, like, okay, so all the weights are initially initialized to random number from a normal distribution. Here I am using a activation as softmax. Okay, why? Because here I am trying to do the classification. That's the reason I'm trying to use the softmax, because I want to classify the sample into the class to which it possesses the maximum probability. Okay, so hence I am using the softmax. And then I am almost done with building the network architecture. Now I am trying to compile the model. Okay, model.compile. Loss means like, okay, what kind of learning rule I need to use. Okay, so since my problem is a classification problem, I am using categorical cross entropy as a loss. Okay, if somebody is working on the regression problem, you can use like, okay, so mean squared error. Okay, different type of loss you can consider. Like, okay, so here since we are working with the classification problem, I am trying to use categorical cross entropy. Optimizer, I am trying to use a variant of gradient descent algorithm called Adam. Okay, and metrics means like, okay, so what kind of metric? Like, okay, so what is the metric I'm going to use? Like, okay, so how well my model is performing? I am using the accuracy as a metric. Okay, so similarly, one can use like, okay, different metric like precision, recall, etc., and so forth. I am using accuracy here. Okay, so now I build the model. I specify what kind of loss function I need to use, what kind of optimizer I need to use, what kind of metric. I'll just return this model. So here, like, okay, I'm just calling this function baseline model. So this will return a model. So now model is ready. What I'm trying to do is model.fit. Model.fit means I'm performing the training process. Fit the model now. Okay. So with what? So use the training data, X train, Y train. So this is what my X parameter and Y parameter. So we need to have the validation data. Like, okay, so if you can define like, okay, so your own validation data set, right? So to see like, okay, so how well your model is converging, you can use the validation data set. Here for just for sake of simplicity, for the validation, I'm using the test data itself. Whatever the test data we loaded, right? I'm using the test data for validation. So just for simplicity, like, okay, so the number of epochs have been set to 10. Batch size is set to 200. So batch size means like, okay, so in a batch, whenever like, okay, you try to take the one training, right, one iteration, how many number of images need to be considered for each batch? Like, okay, I'm trying to take 200 images in one batch. Okay, that means the 60,000 images are grouped into like, okay, so the different batches. Each batch is of size 200. Okay, so that means at a time it will take 200 samples and try to perform the fitting. Okay, and finally, so once the model is fit, so then I'm trying to evaluate the model here. So here, like, so basically model.evaluate means I'm trying to test the model. So what I'm trying to test, like, I'm using the same validation set, actually whatever the validation set or the testing set, right? I'm using the same test to train to test the model performance. And these are like, so the few statements to print the baseline error and so prediction accuracy, etc. and so forth. Clear? So here I have not used any CNN. I am just using like, so conventional neural network actually. So it's a conventional feed forward neural network. So my network is very, very simple. So it has got one input layer with 784 neurons and one hidden layer with 784 neurons. It is fully connected. And I have like, so one output layer, like, so with output layer with 10 neurons. So let us just try to run it and try to see like, okay, so it won't take much time because it's only like 10 epochs. So you can see here, like, okay, so just now we completed one epoch. You know what is epoch, right? Epoch is like, okay, so one complete scan of entire data set. Okay, entire training data set. So once we scan the entire data set, so we have like, okay, so one epoch. So the first epoch completed in 14 seconds. The loss is 0.278. Accuracy is 0.92%. Validation loss, like, so this is on the loss on training data itself. On validation, like, on the validation data set, that's a testing data set, the loss is 0.14 and accuracy, validation accuracy is this. Okay, so as you can see, like, okay, so as the number of epochs increases, so in the second epoch the loss is continuously decreasing. That means it shows that like, okay, so the model is getting converged. Okay, Okay, so we almost completed. So with 10 epochs, so basically what it says is like, okay, so your training loss is 0.0082, okay, and accuracy is 99.85%. That means when you train and test with the training data sets itself, like, okay, so it is 99.85%. When you test it on the testing data set, so its accuracy is almost 98.23%. Okay, so with very, very simple network architecture, with only 10 epochs, probably if you increase the number of epochs to maybe 25 or 50, probably you can even get like, okay, so close to 99 or 99.6% kind of result. So we are able to get like, okay, so 98.23% as the accuracy. Okay, so this is what the baseline error is, like 1.77%. So this is the error, overall error. So this is how we can implement a neural network for any data actually. Like, so this I just explained with the MNIST data. So you can pretty much use the same kind of approach for any data. So if you want, I can just quickly run through the another data set. So which is a non-image data. Okay, so this is a prima diabetic data set. So it's a data set which talks about like, okay, so the diabetes in a pregnant woman actually. So it's a 8-dimension data. It has got 8-dimension data. So like pregnancy plus pressure, skin test, like, so some medical parameter. These are the arguments or the features. Okay, and this is the class level. See, for example, why I'm trying to show this is like, if somebody wants to like, okay, so work on the non-image data, right? So if you have extracted the data in CSV format, like, you can still do so. So first what you need to do is you need to segregate this data. Okay, so that's what I'm trying to do here. What I'm trying to do is, so data frame, I'm trying to read from a CSV file. So you can also like, okay, if your data is available in Excel or CSV format, you can just load the data. Okay, so now, so from 0 to 7. Okay, so 8 means like with the 7, the first 8 attributes correspond to X variable, and the last column, the 8th column or the 9th column, is corresponding to the Y parameter. So Y8 means like, okay, because in Python index starts with 0. So that's the reason. Okay, so X and Y parameters are segregated. So number of classes is a single, it's a binary class problem. Again, here I'm trying to define the model in the similar way. So feed forward network. So the number of hidden neurons is like, so exactly similar to like, okay, so 8. Okay, and number of input layer, like, so it's again 8. Initialized to normal from the normal distribution, activation is same. So the hidden layer, sorry, output layer has got only one neuron, so it's a binary class problem. So here I am using again the softmax. So categorical cross interrupt, say almost all the network exactly same network I'm using. Okay, only thing is, so it has got 10 neurons in the 8 neurons in the input layer, 8 neurons in the hidden layer, and 1 neuron in the output layer. Just try to run it. Should be pretty fast. So here also you can see like, okay, so the loss is decreasing, showing that, okay, so the network is converging. So this is how it looks like. Okay, so we just run for the 10 iterations, so 10 epochs, and the overall loss is 1.81%. So we're able to get 0.981. So probably like, okay, so the either network is not very, very optimal. Just for the sake of explanation, I have used it. So two things can be inferred from here actually. So one is, if you are having a image data and you don't want to use the CNN and still you want to use the conventional neural network, either you can convert that into pixel and you can still feed it. So that's what like, so the number of parameters we were discussing in the morning session, right? So that's how it will work. or else like okay, if you are having the features already extracted from in some or the other form, so you are having Excel file, right? So you can still use this kind of network architecture. And how to build the network architecture, that's also I have shown actually. If you want to add one more hidden layer, you can still add it, and you can change some of the hyperparameters, and you can still get experiment with the different hyperparameters and different number of layers, so that you can get better results. Clear? So now, like, let us try to see like how to implement the CNNs. Again, I have taken the same problem. So the problem is like I have taken the MNIST data set. Okay, so it's again the handwritten numeral data. So exactly similar to the first one, but only thing is in this case, instead of using the conventional neural network, I will be using the CNN for solving this problem. Okay, I'm importing the NumPy, and these are the some of the standard packages I'm just importing. Sequential tells that it is a feed forward network. Dense, dropout, flatten. Okay, so basically this is the layer which tries to convert your two-dimensional data to a one-dimension vector. So basically, like okay, once the feature extraction is done, right, you need to convert it into a one-dimensional or a fully connected network. So before that, we need to convert this data into a flattening data. So that's what this flatten will do, to convert the image or two-dimension data into one-dimension data. And then from layers convolutional, like okay, basically I'm trying to import convolution 2D, two-dimensional convolution, and from, so here I'm using the max pooling, a two-dimensional max pooling. Okay, so here basically like I'm setting the image ordering dimension as TH. That means basically I need to represent the data weight matrix in the TH format. Okay, so that's what it means. Like okay, so in what order? Like okay, whether you want to consider first number channels as the first or channels as the last. Okay, so since it's a two-dimension data, it doesn't have like multiple channels. So I'm trying to load this data. So the rest of the format is exactly similar. So here I'm loading the data. So here like okay, so in the first case, right, we try to reshape it into like okay, so 784. Okay, one dimension vector. Here I am trying to keep as it is. Okay, so I'm trying to keep it as a image itself, a image of size 28, 28. Okay, so what I'm trying to tell here is like so try to reshape the data into a one channel, that is a it's a grayscale image, each of size 28 by 28. Okay, so and again these images I'm just trying to convert into in the range 0 to 1. Okay, so white train. So basically I'm just one not encoding the y parameters. I'm trying to define the number of classes is 10. Okay, here I am trying to define the network architecture. So the model is a sequential model, that is a feed forward model, feed forward network. Model dot add. So I'm trying to add the first convolution layer here. Okay, model dot add. So what kind of model? Like I'm not adding a dense network now, dense layer. Okay, rather than I am adding a convolution layer now, convolution 2D, two-dimensional convolution layer. So what is the parameters here? Like okay, so I'm trying to add a first convolution layer with 32 number of filters. I'm trying to consider 32 filters. Each filter is of size 5 by 5. Okay, so in the first convolution layer, I am trying to use 32 number of filters, and each filter is of size 5 by 5. Input dimensions, what is the input dimension? My data is a 28 by 28 image. Okay, and first after this, I am trying to use activation. Within the activation, I am using ReLU as activation function in the convolution layer. Okay, so it does two things. One is it performs the convolution and do the ReLU activation. Okay, followed by I am trying to add a pooling max pooling model dot add max pooling 2D. Okay, so pool size. So what is the size of the pooling window? It is a 2 by 2 window. Okay, I'm not specifying any stride. So if you don't specify the stride anything, like okay, so it will take by default it will take stride as 1. Okay, so here one more thing I'm just trying to add, like okay, model dot add dropout. Dropout means so it will try to randomly remove some of the parameters. Why? Because if I this is a regularization parameter. if your model is tending to overfit, right? So you try to use the dropout to remove some of the parameters from the network architecture or the learning parameter from the network architecture, so that like your network will not get into a overfitting stage. So here I'm trying to specify like okay, so 0.2 dropout. Okay, so after that I'm just flattening the data. So whatever the data comes out of this pooling, right? After dropout, I'm just flatten it. Once the flattening is done, so I get a one-dimension vector. So now I am adding a dense layer. So this is a hidden layer. Okay. So model dot add a dense 128. There is 128 number of hidden layers, hidden neurons, and activation is a ReLU. And this is the output layer. Model dot add dense. Number of classes is 10. Activation is softmax. Okay. So until this, so the first convolution layer, pooling and dropout. This is where you are doing the feature learning. Okay. So these last two stages, right? These two is performing a classification. Okay. So feature learning and classification. Hence it is a deep learning. Like so, though it is a deep learning, like a deep architecture, I have used only one convolution layer and one pooling layer. So like this, like okay, for your application, if you want to add more number of convolution layers, right? You can keep on adding it. Actually, we'll see. Like okay, so one more large architecture I have taken. So little, slightly bigger architecture. So this is how you can do it. And then model.compile. I'm trying to compile the model. Loss is categorical cross entropy. Optimizer is same, Adam, and accuracy. So rest of the things are same. Okay. So one convolution layer with 32 filters, 5 by 5. Each of filter each filter is of size 5 by 5. So I'm using max pooling, and dropout is optional. Like okay, if you don't want to use the dropout, you can just omit it. I just wanted to show you like okay, so how to use the dropout or the regularization parameter inside the network. That's the reason I used it. Okay. Then rest of the things are exactly similar. Okay. So I'm just fitting the model here with training data. For validation, I'm using the same test data. Number of epochs is 10. Batch size, I'm trying to take 200 images. So be careful, like okay, when you are using a GPU, right? If you are using a GPU and if your GPU memory is right now, like okay, so I'm running in a CPU, it doesn't matter. But when, especially when you are using a GPU, so ensure like okay, so your batch size is appropriately decided. Okay, if your GPU memory is less and if you give a large batch size, it won't be entire data won't be fit into the GPU memory. Then you will get a CUDA out of memory error. So you may get it that kind of error. So depending on like okay, so what is the size of GPU memory, you can decide the batch size. And here I am trying to compute the score. Okay, so we'll just try to run it. So since I am running on a CPU, it might take slightly more time compared to the previous case. So the concept is very simple. Like okay, so this is what I said. Like okay, so or like okay, so implementing a deep learning solution for your own problems, right? It's very straightforward. You need not to write extensive or very lengthy programs. Okay, so everything is already available. You can just use it. Okay, so at least like okay, so in this case we are writing at least some code. There are cases where like you need not even write any code also. So already like okay, so there are some systems available. Like okay, so the packages are available. I think deep cognition AI, and if you are trying to use those kind of tools, right? Even Samsung has got our own platforms. Okay, so which is you can use for a trial basis. Okay, so freely for about 2 months. Okay, so you can Brightix, call it as a Brightix. So where like okay, so it's all UI interface, web and UI interface. So where you can drag and drop the network architecture and build the solution. You can just load the data, select the standard architecture or like okay, so custom architecture. You can drag and drop and initiate the training, and the things will be done. Okay, you need not to even write the code like this. Okay, things are very simple. What it is required is like okay, so when you start looking into the analysis, when you start analyzing the data, right? How did I get this solution? That's where you more emphasis or more insight is required. Otherwise, writing the code itself is very simple these days with all these kind of tools. You can even observe here, right? Like okay, so it is every time the batch is updated by 200 in terms of 200s, because we set the batch size as 200. That means in every iteration it takes 200 images as one batch. Okay, maybe after one epoch, I will just stop it because it is taking too much of time. We will see like okay, so few more programs. So just now it completed one epoch. So after one epoch, so the validation loss is 0.081. So you can clearly see like so even only after the first epoch itself, it is almost 97%. Obviously, this will give like much better result than the previous case. Okay. So I just stopped it. So this is same problem, but I have considered like so slightly bigger network architecture. So without spending too much here, like we shall slightly look into the directly look into the model. So again, here I'm specifying it's a sequential model. So first convolution layer, like I'm trying to specify the number of filters as 30, each of size 5 by 5. So input size is same. So I'm using the activation as a ReLU. So followed by a max pooling. So again, size is 2 by 2. So then followed by one more convolution layer. In the second convolution, it has got 15 filters. I have added 15 filters, each of size 3 by 3. Activation is ReLU, followed by pooling. Then I'm using the dropout, flattening. So then dense layer. Okay, so it has got two hidden layers. Like okay, so one first hidden layer, second hidden layer, and followed by output layer. Okay, so basically like okay, so compared to this previous case, here I have added one more convolution layer and a pooling layer, and then so even in the output case, right? So even in the fully connected layer, instead of having one one hidden layer, I have added two hidden layers. Okay, so this is how you can keep experimenting with different type of architecture. You can just vary the number of filters, number of size of the filters, and like okay, you can add the number of layers, also convolution layers. Okay, so you can even try out with the different activation functions. Like so, ReLU is one activation function I've used. Like we say like this, you can start using different activation functions. And similarly, like okay, so when you're in the optimization side, you can use the different loss functions. Like so, you have different loss functions like okay, so cross entropy, categorical cross entropy, MST, and again in optimizer like so you can use the different type of optimization techniques and try to do the experiments. So this is how like so you can implement. So I will try to show it for the one more case. This is image classification. Okay, so this is I worked on CIFR data, CIFR 10 data. So this is about 10 class color image data, like each image is of 32 by 32. Okay, so totally it has got 60,000 training data and 10,000 testing data. So I think probably might have seen the CIFR data. Like if you have not seen this, I'll just show you. This is what like so CIFR data set, like it has got 10 classes like aeroplane, automobile, bird, cat, etc. Right. So these are the generic images. Each image is a color image here. So unlike the previous case, right? These are the color images. It's a 3-channel image, and image size is 32 by 32. So again, like okay, we are trying to do the. So here what I'm trying to define the network architecture. So model is a sequential model, convolution 2D. Like so, the first layer has got 32 layers. Sorry, 32 filters with filter size is 3 by 3. So input shape you can see here, like so in the previous case input shape was 1 comma 28 by 28. Here it is a RGB image 3 comma 32 32. Activation like okay, so I'm using ReLU. And one more thing, like I'm using okay padding here. Okay, so padding means so if you want to consider like okay, your output image after the convolution is same as the input image, right? You need to add the padding. Okay, so either you can add the padding as zero padding, or the same padding means it will replicate the columns actually. So here I'm using the dropout at individual layers. Okay, so you can add any number of dropouts and any number of times. Okay, so just to showcase like okay, so different ways of using. So this may not be like okay, so the meaning for this network architecture, I'm just trying to showcase you like okay, so how this can be implemented. Okay, so I'm adding one more convolution layer. Second layer has got 32 filters again, 3 by 3. Activation is ReLU, so followed by pooling, and then it has got third convolution layer, which has got 64 filters. Each of size of each filter is of size 3 by 3. So fourth convolution, fifth convolution, sixth. So totally it has got 6 convolution layer followed by flattening and then dropout. Okay. So this is how like, okay, so I have we have created it. Okay. And then so here like, okay, so for the optimization I'm using the SGD. Okay. SGD as a standard gradient, stochastic gradient descent as the algorithm for optimization, and loss is categorical cross entropy. And one more thing, like, okay, all of you are familiar with the loss learning rate, right? Learning rate is like, okay, so basically how you control your learning. Okay, so the learning time, like, okay, so if you give like a very large learning rate, so there could be a possibility that the learning may not happen, or like, okay, so it may get into the oscillations. And if you give very small learning rate, so the learning will be very slow. So your process of learning will be very slow. So this is a very common problem. Like, okay, so what should be the appropriate parameter for learning? So to overcome this, like, okay, in practical scenarios, we don't use the fixed learning rates. Okay, we try to make it as a function of the iteration of the effort. I use the same thing here. Okay, here the learning rate is initially like I set the learning rate as 0.01, and I am specifying like, okay, so as the number of iteration increases, right? So the learning rate becomes smaller and smaller. So I'm trying to divide it by the number of epochs. So that like, okay, so the decay or like, okay, so the learning rate will keep change over a number of epochs. Initially it start with bigger learning rate. As we increase the number of epochs, right? So the learning rate will become smaller and smaller. So that's what I am trying to define here. And rest of the process is same. So it will fit the model with the training data and validate or the test with testing data. Okay, so this is what about the object classification. So finally, like, okay, so to end, I will just demonstrate or run through the autoencoder code. Okay, probably we will run this just to see the result. Okay, so here we are trying to implement the autoencoder, especially for the image reconstruction. Okay, so this can be considered as the image compression or the dimensionality reduction technique. Okay, so as we discussed, right, like I'm taking the MNIST data. MNIST data is having totally 784 pixels. Okay, this 784 pixel, I want to latent encoding, I want to keep it only 36. Okay, so that means this 784 dimension data need to be reduced or like represented by only 36 data points. That's what the meaning here. Okay, so this is what my input image shape. So that is 784 rows. So I am trying to encode. In the encoding, I am using a dense layer. Okay, encode here I am not using a CNN, but I am using the conventional approach. But you can still follow the same. Like, okay, so while defining the network architecture, right, you can even use the CNN kind of approach. Okay, here what I am trying to do is, so encoding dimension is I would set it as 36. I want to encode this encoded data into 36 layer, 36 neurons data. Activation is ReLU, but input is 784 data. So basically it takes 784 dimension data and encode it into 36 dimension data. Okay, so this is the forward pass encoder part. In the decoding part, I need to implement the decoder also. That means it's a reverse process. So decoder will have again it's a dense. So I need to decode into 784 data points. Okay, activation is a sigmoid, but the data is what is the input for this decoder is encoded data. All of you are able to get right. So for encoder, input is image data. I want to encode it to 36 dimension. For a decoder, I want to reconstruct it to 784 data points, but input is my encoded data. So autoencoder, it will starts with a model, image data, input image, and then followed by a decoder. Okay, so encoder, this is the encoding, like, okay, so where I am trying to do the encoding. So it takes the image data and performs the encoding. So encoded image input is like this is the encoded dimension. So basically, like, okay, we defined all these things. Like, okay, here I am trying to compile the encoding autoencoder. So input shape is like encoding dimension. Decoding is autoencoder dot layers -1. Like okay, so basically, since we have only one layer, so the decoding layer, like okay, so or the latent representation is layer -1. Okay, autoencoder compiler. So compiling the autoencoder now. Optimizer is ADA delta rule. Okay, loss is binary cross entropy. This is another loss function. So what I'm trying to do is like okay, I'm just trying to load the data, MNIST data. I'm trying to reshape it. Okay, this data. So here I'm fitting the autoencoder model. So basically, I'm trying to take X train, Y train data. So I'm running for 50 epochs. Batch size is 256. Shuffle. So basically, whether we need to shuffle the data or not. Okay, so I'm just for the sake of like okay, so showcasing like okay, so how to shuffle the data. I'm trying to shuffle the data, and validation. I'm using the test data. So here I'm just trying to reconstruct, like displaying the reconstructed images. Okay, so we'll just try to run this and to see the result. I think probably while it is running, if you have any questions, I think probably we can discuss until it completes the running process.
How do we solve the overfitting problem in deep learning?
So overfitting problem, like okay, so we try to solve using this dropout. Dropout is one regularization approach where we try to randomly drop some of the parameters, like okay, so some 20% of the or like whatever the specified number of parameters to avoid the overfitting.
So what is the difference in these platforms, that is PyTorch, TensorFlow and Keras?
So see, these are the different packages. Like okay, so TensorFlow, which is developed by Google, like okay, so and PyTorch is being developed by Facebook. So it has got like okay, so different facilities. Like okay, so if you look into the deep learning development, right? Like okay, so earlier we used to use the Theano and then Caffe, so which are specifically defined by like okay, so from the university paternity for a specific kind of cases. Like okay, Caffe was specifically built for image data, so which has got like so more of a C like code. Okay, so then the TensorFlow picked up the speed, like okay, so the people it started becoming more popular because TensorFlow can support not only the image data, even the other forms of data. Okay, and initially like Keras was separate, like okay, so Keras was a wrapper. Okay, so which takes Theano or TensorFlow as a backend and started like, because if you write a code in TensorFlow, right, like it won't be very straightforward like this. So since like okay, we are using a Keras as a wrapper, like it becomes very simple to write it. Okay, so similarly, PyTorch, like it offers different kind of flexibility, especially for the image data. So where you can even train the point clouds. Say for example, 3D point clouds. Like okay, so if you have a 3-dimensional data, right, the depth data, X, Y, and Z point cloud data, even you can try to train the models using those kind of point cloud data. So where 3D convolutions and everything is implemented, which is very straightforward to implement. So it's all like okay, so more than sticking into any kind of these kind of platforms. So it's all about the forum. Like okay, so for example, which research community, or what is the number of researcher or the research community using this tool? Like okay, if you're stuck with, because these are all open source, right? So you may not get proper documentation or support from the developers. Okay, you need to rely on the forums. Okay, so in these forums, like okay, so what kind of support you will get it, and what is the simplicity of using it? Okay, how efficiently you can build it. So that's what drives the thing. So in other words, if you look into like okay, Caffe, TensorFlow, or PyTorch, all are like okay, so platforms like okay, say a Python based framework which will help you to build like okay, so deep learning models, and you can it will assist you in loading the data, training, and exporting the model. Okay, so that's where like you need to decide like so what kind of platform should be used. So it all depends on your convenience and like easy to use it.
Is there any interpretable classifiers available currently? Interpretable for classification.
So interpretable, like, so there are like if you look into the, if you're talking about the interpretable AI, so there are class activation maps which are available. Like, so we call it as a GradCam and class activation maps and gradient class activation maps, which will identify like so which particular class the image was classified on what basis. Those will be like highlighted. Like you can visualize like so which part of the image was analyzed and which part of the neurons was triggered. So those kind of information you can visualize it. Again, like those things are even still available in the TensorFlow also. You can just add those as a class activation maps into your network architecture, and you can visualize those parameters.
Can we use a PyTorch for medical image analysis?
No, you can use like, okay, so even you can use TensorFlow also. You can use PyTorch, you can use the TensorFlow, anything is fine. Even for that case, even you can use the Caffe also. There is absolutely no restriction, because Caffe, PyTorch or TensorFlow will not restrict you. Like for that, it is still a image. What kind of architecture and how do you build the architecture, that is up to you only, whether you want to use the standard architecture. If any specific layer or like okay, any specific parameter is not implemented, then probably you need to look for the other architecture, other platforms. Otherwise, you can use any of these platforms.
Why ReLU cannot be used in the output layer?
See, basically ReLU, like in the output layer, like okay, our objective is to classification. ReLU is only like okay, you are trying to kind of doing a kind of normalization. Like okay, you are trying to segregate. Okay, so negative, all negative values. In case of final layer, my objective is not to segregate negative values or the positive value. I want to classify the class, like okay, so to which class it possesses the maximum probability. That's the reason in output classes mostly we use softmax.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so these are the I just completed the running. Like okay, so the first row is the input images. These are the images which were considered, and the second one is the 36 pixel representation. Like so though the size is same, but you can see like okay, the pixel sizes are different. Like okay, so these are the 36 bit representation 36, not 36 bit representation, 36 data point representation of 7. And the last row is the reconstruction. Like okay, so from 36 data points, when I reconstruct the image, so this is how I could able to reconstruct. Okay, so the input is the first row, so the middle one is the encoded data, third one is the last row is the decoded data. So you can clearly see like okay, so in almost all cases we are able to reliably reconstruct it from the 36 data points. That means this 36 data points is good enough to do the classification. Even you can use these 36 data points for your classification, any classification. That way you can treat it as a dimensionality reduction, or it can be used as a data compression technique, etc. and so forth. So similar way, you can give like okay, so the image and its noise pair, and you can realize like so the noise free output image, etc. and so forth. Okay, so the code or the architecture looks exactly same, but only thing is you need to change the input output pair, like so that you can easily realize the different solution.
Thank you, sir. So here we come to the end of the day 5 session. I, Professor Mohammad Saifuddin, on behalf of Department of CSC PACE, feel privileged to wholeheartedly extend my gratitude of having Dr. R. Dinesh, Research Scientist, Samsung R&D Bangalore, as the speaker of today's session. I'm sure the fine-grained theory concept followed by an excellent hands-on session by the eminent speaker would have given all the participants a complete exposure in materializing and understanding even the highly complicated topics in a simplest way. I affirm that all the participants will have a lot to take away from this highly knowledgeable session and help have an exponential leap in their research progress. Thank you for such a wonderful and highly informative session, plus for the patience and earnest attempt to reach every enthusiastic mind. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much.